I gotta sue you, redskin, with that green that's a label. I gotta cue you, horny, 'cause I think that I'm able. Lying face down and naked, you say you don't need a favor. Score so deep that leave no pain. You never wait, 'cause it's all so late. Baby, it's all to get it, and too easy to blame. Go for it. You, can't you hear me calling? Running my fingers through the stango drawing, stroking your body. I keep you from falling. Ooh.
That was great. I don't even know how to say. How do I say in Italian? Just that was amazing.
Bellissimo.
Bellissimo. I am joined today for an early morning jam with Marco from the Cinelli Brothers, who I should say thank you very much to Ashlyn, who does artist relations at Victory Amplifiers, for hooking me up I did ask actually earlier on this year when you won the Best Blues Band 2024, Best UK Blues Band 2024 award. I went, we should probably get these guys on Andertons TV, and Ashlyn arranged it. And now you're here. So tell us about yourself and the band. And I mean, obviously I can tell from your accent, you are not from these fair shores. So tell us about growing up and how you got into the guitar, and then tell us about the band.
I'm born and bred Italian. So is my brother, the other half of the Cinelli in the band. I've started music in a college in Italy before moving abroad. I've studied jazz and big band arrangement, strangely. Cool. It was like a sort of Berkeley based school, you know, the sort of modern colleges. And then I moved abroad, finding my way, you know, starting to the composing career. I moved first to the Netherlands, then to France, and then ultimately to the UK, where I started the band with my brother, who in the meantime moved before me to the UK.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a drummer. And we started this band called the Cinelli Brothers, blues-based, because we wanted to do some blues in the first place, you know. Yeah. But then it sort of, you know, naturally evolved a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. It's a sort of band sound, you know. It's blues rooted still, but we got our own songs, our own style, I must say. Here I am. I'm living in London now and loving it. Tell
us about that, because I see, I've not seen you guys live other than on YouTube, which you should go and do, or go and see them at a show. But as you say, it's fantastic to see a young band still drawing their roots from the blues, but it's got other influences as well, folky, big band. Tell us about where those inspirations came from.
I mean, the genre that we all love is various, because we love the blues, the Chicago blues, but also we love the Beatles, we love the band, you know, the band, band. And all these LA bands from the 70s, also New York bands from the 70s. So for us, it's a big melting pot of genres. Also, each single one of us, we are four, love a specific kind of genre of music. And we sort of managed to blend it all together, these tastes, you know. And the result is quite astonishing, because in every song you can hear a percentage of everything we like, you know.
Are you playing most of the main guitar lines, or are you playing mainly rhythm guitar?
No, actually, to be fair, I don't play much guitar these days in the band. Far from being the best guitar players, even in my band.
But well, tell us about growing up. Who were your big sort of, you know, musical inspirations then?
Guitar.
On the guitar.
On the guitar, yeah. My first love was Jimi Hendrix when I was a teenager. You know, I was just like. But before that, I must say, I grew up with this Stevie Ray Vaughan thing, because my dad used to spin records of Stevie Ray Vaughan when I was young to wake me up to go to school. So it was cool. So I grew up with this Strat sound in my head. It was just in the back of my head, and when I grew up, it came real. But the first active, like guitar player actively that I discovered was Jimi Hendrix, and then Jeff Beck possibly. Strangely, I'm a huge fan of Frank Zappa, for example. Okay. His work as a composer and a guitar player, the style, the hectic way of playing, you know. And then, well, I moved a little bit on jazz. I really loved George Benson and Wes Montgomery, you know, those kind of. And until I saw Derek Trucks live one day, you know, and the fact that he used the hands, you know, made me also Jeff Beck, like mainly hands, you know, made me develop this style where I play electric guitar now without the plectrum, you know.
Let's talk about that. I want to talk about the Cinelli Brothers and again, especially, you know, some of the more recent successes and that you've had. But so playing wise, style wise, we'll talk about the gear towards the end of the interview, but. How do you feel? Are you playing like using your fingers for hybrid picking, or are you playing sort of Jeff Becky where it's just a thumb instead of a pick? Or
okay. For soloing, when I'm electric, like rock and blues, I alternate the thumb and the what's called the index.
First finger, yeah.
That's the basics, you know. It's sort of like, who does that? Mark Knopfler, I think.
Yeah.
And then I link the other with like I just hammer on and pull off the other strings, you know. But mainly it's a staccato thing. You see, alternation of thumb and that's how I started.
Yeah.
Then I borrowed some technique from I guess Wes Montgomery or the Chicago blues player that I've seen live, that they use the thumb to. When I play blues, sometimes I just use the thumb in a pretty much you can see a vertical position like this, and I sort of have the most sound that reminds me of the pick, you know. Just using the thumb. Otherwise, sometimes I just strum upwards, you know, upstrokes with the main fingers. And,
I do love playing, you know, that part. I love playing the rhythm guitar with my fingers, especially. Or I love being able to sort of rake and the choice that it gives you like that. But I am a rubbish solo player, so I have to have a plectrum somewhere near me. I always admire players like Chris Buck who've got this special grip, so they can kind of hold the pick in their hand, and then all of a sudden, like a magic trick, the pick appears and they do their bit.
Fantastic, well, I still love playing with the pick, you know, but I thought it was a moment where I needed some special relationship with the guitar. It's strange to say like this, but I find it much more dynamic to use the thumb, my fingers rather than have the pick, you know. The hardest problem was playing funky music without the pick.
Just because you haven't got the attack.
Because like
string.
Exactly, or studio work when it's required really some attack at the guitar cutting through. So when it comes to rhythm guitar, I borrowed a lot from the flamenco music, you know. Oh, sorry, let me put some volume. That's just basic, or like if you want to do James Brown style. That's the hardest part, I think, without the pick, you know. And you've developed. You need to insist, of course, on this.
I do think that actually focusing on the player's right hand. I mean, certainly when I was growing up, and even now, my natural inclination is just to look at what the left hand is doing and try to. But actually, the more I get into this, the more I think that a guitar player's own voice, like their own sound, is much more to do with how they've developed their right hand style.
Well, Jimi Hendrix said that, right?
Did he?
He said the best guitar players are the one that nailed the rhythm first, you know?
Yeah. So I'm interested, you said that over the, you know, more recently you've stepped back from playing as much guitar in the band. Was that because you know, is singing and playing the guitar still a challenge, or do you just want to play a different instrument?
I always want to play Hammond and piano in my life. You know, even when I was starting guitar, I thought like I always had an ear towards the keyboards, you know, and I was never able to, as a guitar player, to be equally skilled both in keyboards and guitar. And then the pandemic, you know. I had 2 years where I wanted to make a change, and I bought myself a Hammond organ. And I started playing around it, writing songs on it. And actually, I can tell you, it was a blessing for me, because driving the attention away from the electric guitar, it made me a better guitar player, all in a sudden, because this is something I really want to insist on. I was really mainly focused, you know, particularly about the sound, the gear, perfectionist in everything. And then all in a sudden I was taking care of something else. And when I get back on a guitar, it's pure joy, because I'm so detached by it. And I've never played better ever in my life.
I wanted to dig into that. I haven't met many guitar players that switch, you know, between keyboards and guitars. And I did want to dig into that. How does it make you appreciate playing the piano and then coming back to the guitar? Does it make you appreciate leaving space more? Like not overplaying the guitar, or? Well,
I've always been a player who just rather in the choice between filling in with some phrases or stepping back. I always draw back, you know. But definitely the harmony is the first thing that you really appreciate on the guitar, you know. because you are chords that on the guitar sounds just like even if you take a E major, that in this case is a D, but the voicing of the open string, you cannot have it on the keyboard, you know, the same way.
Yeah.
And you appreciate more the harmony that you can do on the guitar, which is different from the piano, you know. And the bending.
The bending.
Bending, like...
Oh, bending, sorry, yeah. Yes.
You don't have this on the keyboard, so...
It's funny, every keyboard player that I've ever met envies what a guitar player can do with a note, and then but then equally I think guitar players envy the chords that you can layer on a keyboard that you obviously can't layer on a guitar. So funny how we're always kind of, you know, wanting what we can't have.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But that's interesting. And then when you're songwriting, will you do that with a piano, or will you still go back to grabbing an acoustic and try and songwrite like that? What's the
now is whatever I have around,
right.
Really. You know, I think the songwriting evolved in a way that I don't need an instrument even, because I can picture myself on the guitar or on the keyboards. But it happens when I'm studying mostly keyboards these days. So when I'm studying, I have the inspiration, I'm on keyboards. Yeah. But I must tell you, when I do want to write something that is rather bluesy or there's a boogie feeling to it, you know, I go back to the guitar and I use the guitar because that's the main love and will forever be my first.
Those are the two, guitar and piano are the two instruments that, you know, obviously I know I can play okay on the guitar, but I would love to feel like I could sit behind a piano and do, you know, when you're at a party and a guy ends up sitting behind a piano and he knows all the songs and it's just like, it's just amazing. Exactly. So cool. Yeah. I love that. We have a guy that does the videos for Andertons on our keyboard channel called Jack Duxbury. Really lovely guy, plays with loads of famous people. But he's got that. He can just literally pick out a song and go, oh yeah, got it. Boom.
And the magic happens, right?
Just great player. I'm so envious. Well, look, okay, so let's talk about this year then, and how does it really feel like this year is taking off, or has it been a sort of gradual thing over the last 2 or 3 years? And what was it like winning the award, the Best Blues Act award?
A great unexpected feeling, I must say. We were like blown away by the news, and we cherish that moment still, and we try to make the most of it. We also have a title to defend, so to speak, you know. Everywhere we go, they say, oh, is this the blues band, the best blues band? So let's see what's...
So you got to live up to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so far so good. We're playing a lot of shows all over the world. I mean, mostly Europe and America. And well, it feels like we are in a sort of chain, you know, playing a gig, going to the other gig, and I can see by the look of the crowd that something is getting better, you know. But for us, it's just the same. We are just four lads playing music, you know.
I think that's so cool. But are you seeing the venues that are booking you and the festivals that are getting in touch now? Does that really feel like it's starting to elevate?
No, they look at us more like they're looking at some people like they want to handle with care, you know. You know, when I get off stage, I've seen the look of the people like, oh, you know, like, what's the make of your guitar? Or you were amazing, you know, I've been following you for years, finally. And we were like, okay, sure, good. Even,
that's great.
Yeah, the organizers of the festivals are very kind to us, you know.
And what's the sort of the plan? Is there are you just gonna keep on touring, or are you in a writing phase soon again, or what?
We love. I would say this. Generally, we love to play live. This is a band that, to maintain the band sound, must play live, must find their own dimension on stage. So for me, for a long time, also a little bit dictated from frustration, not be able to play every day live. Yeah. I always wanted to have a band that does solid 150, 200 shows in the year.
Wow.
And but of course, this gets like, now that this is an established thing, we look forward to do things on another level, which is like organized tour, like concentrate tours on a specific time of the month, and for the rest, to dedicate ourselves to music production, songwriting, and why not starting the instrument again, you know?
And are you not? I mean, I always admire bands that tour that relentlessly, because I sort of feel, how do you manage a family life? How do you stay creative? Are you able to sort of write on the road, or do you are? So that helps, right?
Yeah, the moments like the inspiration. I like to rely, solely rely on inspiration moment for songwriting because I'm a guy who can sit and write a song for you.
Okay.
But I prefer when I'm driven by the inspiration. So I'm driving on the road or I'm sound checking. All in a sudden I've got the hook.
Well, let's talk. So a hook comes to you. What is it like? Do you sort of plug your guitar in and maybe the settings are accidentally a different thing, and then a feedback noise comes out, and you go, oh.
Yeah, I got it. Yes, exactly. It's very random, but I analyze this aspect. I believe you need to have a solid life behind it. Like experience. When you are touring, you see a lot of people, you see a lot of places. This works in the background of your brain a little bit, and it processes in a way that randomly, all in a sudden, in the middle of the day, where you're like doing the the groceries at home, you have the hook, and you maybe you think about what you had in the past and you say, okay, no, I got the hook. I need to stop altogether, put it down, record it, or just sit and write a song if you have the time, otherwise go back later,
Is your mobile phone just full of thousands of things you've hummed into it, of just like...
Yeah, like, the hook might be also a phrase,
Right.
It doesn't have to be a melody. You have like you have a sentence. You say, oh, this is it.
This is... I need some more bananas.
Yes.
That's it. There's a song.
Cappuccino.
I remember interviewing Steve Vai, and he literally just went, let me show you my phone. And it just had maybe millions, but thousands of middle of the night or wherever he is, little 30-second things in there that, and I suppose if you've got that in your brain, then that's how it triggers. You do have to be ready, I think, at any moment to just go, oh, quick, capture the...
But luckily,
idea.
I can write it down, music.
Okay. So even to the point, like a trained, Mozart type thing, you can literally hear it and write it out, can you? Wow.
Yeah, I'm trained.
That's a skill.
Yeah, it's quite a skill. It's not very used nowadays, the fact that But the thing is to record an idea on the phone is not always the best option, because if you don't really nail the atmosphere and the vibe of the idea you have by humming it, you might spoil, because you rely on what you hear the next day, So sometimes for me, I say, no, I'll write this down. I'll write the melody down, Wow. And I say, I think this is better for me to compose the song around it later. So I have the options.
I don't think I've ever met anyone... It's always fascinated me when you listen to a famous piece of classical music that's written for an orchestra 300 years ago, that somebody in their mind is able to hear 50 different instruments playing and write down how it should do, and then ultimately, I guess they've probably got a piano, and so they've got some sense of a melody there. But where did you... that must have been a very formal piece of music training for you, or was it a dedication on your...
I'm a bit of a nerd.
Right.
So when I started this school, I took seriously sight reading, first sight reading, and solfeggio. We had solfeggio in Italy. I don't know what's...
I'm not sure what... Is that the curriculum, like the...
No, solfeggio is like a reading aloud pieces in different keys,
Okay.
It's just like the reading training, I never used it in real life, like to work with.
Yeah.
But
would it be sight reading? That would.
Yeah, but singing, or speaking it, like do, re, mi, stuff like that, And of course, we had the first sight reading for guitarists, which was the teacher said it's like a Highlander movie. At the end, there will be only one at the end of the course, because everybody else repeated the course.
Wow.
It's the class. It's just very intense. Yeah. But I took it very seriously.
Yeah.
This is my nerdy side, and I started transcribing solos like on a daily basis. Saxophone solos, trumpet solos, like every day, a couple of hours transcribing stuff. And then at the end of this college, I was hired as official transcriber.
Right.
Which I believe, you mentioned Steve Vai before. Steve Vai was hired by Frank Zappa in the as an official transcriber.
That's right. Yeah. When he was very young.
When he was very young, he transcribed all his solo from the album "Shut Up and Play Your Guitar" or something like that. I don't know if it's true, but I know for a fact that he was a great transcriber.
I need to do that Frank Zappa deep dive one day. I've never really, again, I think when I was about 18, I had a couple of Zappa albums, but some people are obsessed with him, aren't they? It's just...
I think, yeah, I like the fact that he's so diverse, you know, and he can equally compose blues and contemporary classical music in the same song. I don't know. It struck me, it really struck when I was young. It hit me like no one else. Like some albums, like, what is this, you know?
Do you know, it always surprises me that more often than not, I'll meet someone that's had some success in music and they'll have a real sort of like rock star kind of persona. So outwardly they project this image that, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm making it all up and I'm this kind of rock and roll loose kind of... And then you speak to them and you go, you know a lot, really. Like, you know, you either really understand theory or you've had some very formal music training, or as you rightly say, you know, you can compose. And I think, yeah, it's an interesting, the average person in the street probably sees, you know, guys like you or you know, any of our sort of rock heroes. I bet you Slash, you know, Slash, he just looks like a guy who puts his top hat on, low slung, all feel. But I bet
you write scores for violins.
They all know a lot.
Yeah, no, it's true, it's true. You're very surprised about how people know by talking to them, you know? Yeah.
Well, look, we should talk about your gear and how you've come to it.
Yes.
Obviously, we talked about Ashlyn hooking us up with this, but I mean, we'll leave. Well, let's talk about this first.
Okay.
So you have a Victory V40, which is their sort of, I suppose, predominantly American-inspired, clean kind of sounding amplifier, but with a bit of British kind of growl in it.
Yeah.
What were you using before that, and what was the journey to ending up with a V40?
I've mainly used Fender amps, such as Super Reverb or Barblux Reverb. These are my favorite.
Yeah.
And the Plexi Marshall type of sounds. Okay. You know,
big, clean, edge of breakup kind of.
Super lead, like, you know, those kind of. Or Blues Breaker. Yeah, the Blues Breaker.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's what the amps that really move me, you know, as a sound.
Yeah.
And, well, the Victory, the V40 does a little bit what I need, everything. And it's a very sturdy amp. Yeah. You know, sometimes with the older... Because to have a Fender that sounds right, you need to have the old ones.
Right.
That's my personal opinion, you know. The reissues are... Although... they're very reliable, but for me what really makes this difference in the sound is just an amp that has a soul, you know. And this is the most like I do say the closest thing to having an amp that is super sturdy, that's not fragile, you know what I mean. And it sounds a bit like Fender-y, you know? Come on.
It's got a Fender-y kind of vintage vibe to it, but I like on this, I'm just looking at your settings, I like it when the preamp volume is pushed round about that sort of tooth, because it'll do a little bit more of a British breakup kind of sound when it's pushed round there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty, again, lots of mid-range pushed in, the voice too, which is the more mid-rangey, the mid-kick pushed in, is very much a live setup you've got here, isn't it? To sort of...
Well, I didn't take care of the mid-kick properly. If I remember it, I would have taken off.
Oh, okay.
But no, I must say though, these knobs really work well with the frequencies, you know, because this guitar is absolutely very scooped in the high, like it's shelved in the high frequencies, very dark sounding.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one of these. Before we go, what does that even say? Apoil?
Apoil. Yeah, that's Steven's humor. It means, it's a French expression, means naked, go naked, you know.
Go naked.
As a reminder.
That's a Cinelli Brothers thing, is it?
Yeah, no, when I look at it and change the treble during live, I always have a reminder of how I should approach the show, you know.
Oh, so you mean as in turn all the pedals off, turn the amp up and go naked?
No, just get undressed.
Oh, physically get undressed. Wow, there we go. That's everyone's going to go out to the next Cinelli Brothers show expecting something different now.
Yes.
So let's talk about this guitar. I'm familiar with Eastwood as a brand, an airline doing these slightly more unusual throwback designs.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen one of those. So tell us how long you had it and what drew you to it.
I've had it for 10 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I wanted a guitar that was not the usual Les Paul, not the usual Strat, something that was only mine. You know, I did a little bit of research, and this guitar looked like it could be the one. You know, I like the design. I like the fact that it's short scale. I like the fact that it's very portable and light, and I enjoy the idea of being able to play Delta blues on it as well as solo guitar playing.
Got it.
You know. So I found one in America, in Milwaukee. A guy just, we traded it, it's actually funny, in a Harley Davidson museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where we got our appointment, and he said, take care of my baby, you know. He let it go, and I took it, and I developed my own sound with it now, because, okay, this is not like the best, great, like, sounding guitar, but it's, if you search for something that narrows the possibility of developing your style, that this is it, this is the guitar, because it's got, honestly, it's got glossy sound on the net pickup, you know, like a. So if you want to play, I can play like Robin Trower on this pickup, like. But then get close to the Les Paul P90s stuff on the bridge. It can be, again, it can be very fuzzy, it can be very defined. Obviously, I did some modifications, you know, from the original guitar. You know, I got different pickups here.
It's very. Oh, so it was a. But it had P90s in it.
I had P90s, very similar to this. I just a guy from made my special pickups, you know, and I changed the headstocks here with the
the Grover tuners on there.
Yeah, because they give me a different weight, and you know, this was under the advice of my old guitar tech.
What's the challenge with two things really? One is you've got a short scale guitar and you're drop tuning half a step as well.
Whole step.
A whole? Are you
Indeed.
drop tuning? Okay, right, okay.
Yeah.
So is there a tuning challenge with that? Because you can have very low tension on the strings, or I think you can hear that. I always describe it, when you hear a short scale guitar, particularly drop tuned, the strings take on like a rubber band kind of quality with the way they twang.
Yeah, no, but I needed to have another gauge, yeah.
So you're going a higher gauge?
Yeah, but personalized gauge. I tried a million different gauges, and I have mine, which is 13, 18, 22,
Right.
but plain, 32, 42, 52. That's my...
Yeah, so pretty heavy, but I guess because it's short scale and down tuned, still fairly easy to bend, right?
Yeah, it's a bit harder than you would bend on this guitar, for example. What's that, 10 or 11?
10s on this.
Yeah, it's harder.
Yeah.
But I like hard feeling on bendings. It gives me more control personally. It's just a personal choice.
And it's a completely hollow guitar, so unlike this where there's a solid bit going down the middle, it's totally hollow.
Yeah.
So that must, no F holes on it, which is interesting, but it must create some sort of feedback, fun and game sort of gig. In a good way though?
In a good way, because I know how to control it, you know. If you lower the volume, it goes instantly away. And I'm barely, I'm not incredibly loud guitar player, you know.
Yeah.
But for what I need, the feedback is even required, you know. Because when I hold down notes, whatever note or chord I imagine live, like at the double of the volume of this, like woo, and it's required in that particular moment.
Man.
Yeah.
That is cool. And do you just literally tour with one, or gig with one guitar, or are you changing it through the set? Or?
I used to change with a My 335, you know, which is also another love of mine, my sort of type guitar. In standard tuning, so to play more like blues, mid-neck, or when I want to go higher, because short scale, one tone down, you're very limited here to go up. That's the downside of it.
Yeah.
But then for practical reason, because now we are touring with Leslie speaker, Hammond organ, you know, I just use one. You know, yes. Maybe one day I'll have the selection of guitars, you know?
No, honestly, man, the Hammond through a Leslie, what a sound. It's just heaven, isn't it?
Yes.
Right, so we've got a little pedal board, and I'm loving the fact that the pedal, we often talk about this pedal board is strong enough to, you know, it'll survive being run over by a tank. But yours actually was run over and did survive.
It survived, yeah.
What happened? I mean, it looks like the deco has taken
it had
the
better
bulk
days,
of the damage.
Yeah,
but tell
the
us,
car ran over,
It's a pretty simple board though, right? So tell us what's on there and maybe give us an example of when you might use those sounds.
Yes, I have, well, the tuner, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one tuner I really like. It doesn't have any problem of switches, nothing. Yep. It just does the job. And
we're tuner brothers here. Look, we got the same tuner. Good choice.
Yeah, good. Blues Power, which is a sort of overdrive, like.
I'm familiar with the brand. I talk to the guy Jesse every so often on Instagram, but mainly it's me begging him to let us buy some of his pedals because I know they're good.
Yeah.
But so the Blues Power, is that based on like a blues breaker? Is that the kind of vibe? Or?
No, it's more like the, what's that called? Ibanez.
Like a tube screamer.
Tube screamer,
okay.
Yeah. But it has a sort of compressor in it, in a special tone, which I really like.
And you're using that for lead solos or like always on?
Always. It depends on the situation. You know, venues make your sound your sound differ from venue to venue.
Yeah.
So it depends. If I want a compressor more in my playing and I want more sustain or more growl or a bite, I use it. Otherwise, I'm happy to go straight in. You know, sometimes.
It's a cool looking pedal. It is indeed a cool looking pedal.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe we'll stomp through some. In fact, can we just maybe hear the difference it makes as we go through it?
Absolutely. Okay, so this is this would be a regular setup for me. I'll just put down the reverb so you can hear more the.
Boom.
Sorry. That would be without the Blues Power.
Yeah.
So while I use it. To really make you hear the compressor.
Yeah.
Let me readjust a little bit.
So it's like a honkier push.
With a Strat, it really sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know,
right.
When on the steroid sound period. That's what it does, really. It has
cool.
3 different sound shapes, and still depends on the situation.
Cool.
I would like to spend a couple of words on this wah because you would think it's a Dunlop Crybaby, right? Yeah. It is not, my friend.
It's not. What is it?
Thomas Organ.
Thomas Organ? Don't think I've ever even heard
before Dunlop bought the Crybaby, there was this other brand doing the Crybaby, which is a brand from Chicago called Thomas Organ.
Wow.
It's the best sounding wah for me because it doesn't open much. It's really open like much less than. And it's so bluesy. It is so lousy. I don't know. You tell me. Like. It's very vintage, you know, sounding.
You know what?
Yes.
So I've got a wah on mine. I can't even remember now. Custom audio. And it goes much, much bassier than that, which, again, for some sounds I like. But actually, you know, if you're doing that sort of slightly distorted lead stuff, it's too, like you say, you've got to be careful not to go back too far. So if I put mine, so, I think I've got all my, hang on, so my tone control's up. Let's try turning it on. So yours is like the last sort of inch of my, you know, like the last. By the time I'm back here, it's way more rolled off than that, which I don't. I quite like for I quite like for that, but for actual soloing, I think it's better just to stay in that.
This is exactly the range that is very effective on soloing, you know? Check this out. I'm not doing the full excursion
yet. There's not much.
But live, you got everything you need, you know?
I mean, I don't know. I've read about the history of wah pedals, and there's Clyde McCoy, isn't there, I think? But it was originally an organ circuit, wasn't it? It was like the whole concept of the wah comes from a tone circuit, I think, for an organ. And then someone has adapted it for the guitar, and now we know.
Maybe
of the
Thomas
wah-wah,
Organ.
It could be. Yeah, maybe. I thought it was something to do with Vox, but hey.
Maybe,
Who
I don't
knows?
know. But
That's
it's
cool.
written, on the back is written Cry Baby, Thomas Organ Inc., Chicago, Illinois.
Well,
Great.
there we are. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, tell us about what you use the Flint and the Deco
Now,
for.
Flint, whenever I don't have reverb at my avail and the tremolo, it's okay. I'm not fussy about I think the tremolo is great.
Because you've got tremolo in the amp.
Exactly.
So would you prefer the tremolo in the Strymon, or do you use that?
I use that. I use the amp. But
I love, are these the settings that you have the tremolo on? Maximum speed, minimum depth?
Because the
Or has it just got moved?
Oh, actually, this
Oh,
is not.
it's because the knobs are in the wrong position.
That's why I will use it. Quite a lot of depth, I must say. This got through well live.
I must admit, I always use the V40 in here, or some variant of it, and I never use the tremolo. But I should do, because it's such a cool...
It is, right? But it
Yeah.
depends on what you really need. It's just warm, you know, and it's perfect amount of... What do you need?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
But the Deco is probably my favourite. I call it, well, what do I call it? It's the pedal that most surprised me in the whole Strymon range, because I think people buy it thinking it's going to be some sort of weird tape machine modulation thing, and then they find all the saturation that's in it as well and go like, whoa, this is way more of a cool drive thing with a small amount of modulation rather than a just for modulation. But I'm
correct.
interested in-
No, correct. This is the right way I use it. I mean, I use this side of the Deco is for the overdrive, which is a tape overdrive, which is different from a regular tube overdrive. It's a clip distortion, you know. You can adjust like. Obviously, I had a knob once, but it's still in Germany. Next to the car, run over my pedal board. So this. Can you hear?
Sounds great. Yeah, I know.
If you do boogie stuff. Which is also what I do mostly on shows. It's just like, reminds me of this clip overdriving sound from the Blues Chicago electric players. You know? That's how I use it anyway, no more than that. And but it can go very nasty, It can also, this part of the pedal is for everything else you want to do with the tape manipulation. So everybody knows about but I use it like this, look. The blend, I use it close to 50-50. Lag time, I know I have to be like 10 o'clock with the two of them for practice. And I sort of give a, say it is a Corsi flanger, I don't know what.
Flangery maybe, but
it's very subtle, you know. Sometimes
it's movement, which I like.
Sometimes when I go wild, I can create tape effect by doing this, and I'm in the middle of a solo. When we go psychedelic a little bit.
Loads of distortion, loads of feedback.
Everything more like everything on,
Yeah.
kneeling down, and possibly leading the guitar.
100%.
Yes.
Oh man, that was cool. Well, look, it's been a pleasure to hang with you for a little bit this morning and talk about the band and your rig and everything. I can only really wish you all the luck in the world for the rest of this year and the rest of your career. I hope you and the band, become household names. But yeah, look, if you've enjoyed listening to Marco talk and hearing him play, please do check out their YouTube channel or go to a show, check out their website, listen to some music on whatever your favourite streaming service is. But yeah, it's cool, man. But anyway, look, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in another video soon. Au revoir. Or ciao is what I meant to say.
Yes.